Yes, and this is part of the reason why I think you see people going more toward original composing is because these music libraries that exist, there's only like 3 or 4 of them that most podcasts use. So you may hear that piece of music on This American Life. You might hear it again on Heavyweight. You might hear it again
Right.
on The Daily. You might hear it again on XYZ other like for-profit podcasts. And so you start to think like, and I realize I don't think regular listeners are clocking this in the same way we are, but it gets to be kind of obvious. Like I think there was a period in 2017, 2018 where like everybody was using a certain kind of marimba or whatever, and so it gets to be really repetitive. And then you're like, wait, why are all these shows sounding the same? Um, so yes, it's definitely something that we think about and try to push against too, like trying not only if we hear it on other shows, trying to like lean away from that, but also like guys, we've overused this. Like we really can't go back to this marimba cue anymore. Like just having a little bit of an audit of like, okay, we've used this one too many times. Let's retire.
I think everybody on this panel knows that I'm a chronic overthinker, and I can't um I can't just send a very basic thing. I just can't do it.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
but I'm learning to because I write for podcasts. And it really is a situation where less is more. And like you really just want to like luxuriate in the few elements that you have in that music. And I think it's very easy for a lot of us to be like, oh, well, I have all these sample libraries. I want to use this. I want to use this. Like, I want to make it more original with this. And it's like, no, that's gonna actually make it worse. And like, you want simple but effective melodies and not a whole lot of like background what's the word I'm looking for, like extra warmth.
Mm.
Yeah, so there's that. And on just a more technical note, or administrative note, like I don't think PROs have really caught up with podcasts.
Oh, no.
And the last time I checked was like a year or two ago, and it was like, nope. And so that's a challenge. And my understanding, I think Theo can talk to this better than I can, but my understanding is that a lot of podcast platforms require a full buyout because what they're hosting, they have to know that it's legal. And so on like the good news to that is that a lot of times on for-profit podcasts or on bigger podcasts, like the pay is commensurate with that, like knowing that you're not going to get back end. But a lot of times it isn't, and so it's just like it's more of a challenge to work out, okay, how do I make this feel like the right amount of compensation for work that we're doing. And so it can be more of a conversation beforehand with the producers.
I think, kind of like Edith was saying, it's amazing how quickly you step on all the dialogue if you're not very subdued with your music. But also, I discovered doing narrative stuff how on the nose you can kind of be in a way that wouldn't work in film because it'd be like too much. But when you take away the visual, you can be a little cheeky or a little more like, this is a scary moment. And it works because it's only audio. I found that to be really interesting. But, and then I would say the fact that you have, 10 seconds kind of to introduce a theme, hook people, and then fade it out so the dialogue can come in. And even doing the narrative ones, we would do like scene breaks, but it was the same thing. And I'm working on doing some album versions now. And what I'm literally doing is stitching together like multiple 15-second cues to try to make an interesting piece of music. But that's a whole other challenge because these things worked as snippets, and then it feels weird just putting them back to back. So right now I'm in the process of figuring that out. It's definitely it's definitely a challenge. You know, it's somehow manages to be a lot of music and a tiny amount of music, and you know, putting forth a coherent, meaningful theme. Or when I'm doing stories, like, you know, we might have 3 or 4 kind of different motifs that I'm trying to come back to, but I need them to really pop out, tell you where we're going, and then get out of the way. And it's tricky.